All right, here we are. We're back. We are excited for this episode, and we are on our best behavior because...
Hello, everybody.
because the wives are in the studio. So it's kind of a big deal. Hello.
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 It's great to have you. Some of the things that we're going to touch on a little bit here, besides just being goofballs and having a good time, which we already have been, is marriage, parenting, love languages. That's Ollie, our dog,
Scared me.
attacking you.
Get him.
It was a miracle to get childcare for this.
Yes.
And so shout out to Alexi and our parents for watching them. And if a phone goes off, that's an emergency. So
We probably should have
have to pick up on that. We're going to go around and just introduce yourselves. People sort of know us already, but Nick, why don't you start, and then we'll go that way.
I'm Nick. I'm Brielle's husband.
I'm Briele. I'm Nick's wife.
It's very hard to not mess that up. I feel like you could be like, I'm Briele, Nick's husband. Dang it. Okay, go ahead.
I'm Stephanie. I'm Brock's wife.
That's right, you are. I'm Brock, Stephanie's husband. Now everybody knows. Okay.
No confusion there.
Our wives are sitting across from us.
Yes.
Don't get it twisted.
Right.
By design, I guess.
Brock
That would
and
be
I.
very bad if you got them mixed up since they're siblings.
I don't know why, but right now I feel like
Yeah,
it would
that
be
would-
easier if you guys were actually in the opposite chairs. Like if I was looking here at Brielle.
Yeah, you don't want to be staring at your spouse.
Do you feel the same? No, I feel like this is more, I don't know.
I like it.
Can you switch?
No.
This is my good side.
Cool. Thanks for coming. You are here all the time because you live here anyways. But Brielle, thanks for coming. We're excited to have you guys on and talk a little bit about stuff that people might care about, but also we can just talk about stuff nobody cares about, and I don't care.
Perfect.
So we're here for it.
Yeah, people have been so interested in our podcast so far that they're just dying to meet the wives probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Man,
What
who are
makes
these guys married to?
Yeah, what makes them tick?
Who was the
Or are
fabulous?
they
yeah,
married?
who are the fabulous people
Snatch
behind
them
the
up.
scenes?
We probably mentioned it, that we're married enough.
Yes, you did. Yes.
Maybe
Well,
too
I'm
much.
glad that we're doing
We're
this
married,
episode
we're married.
a little sooner so that people will know what we look like. You know how sometimes you hear somebody talk about their spouse or their kids a lot, and then when you actually see a picture of them, you're like, that's not what they look like.
Oh, yes,
So
that's
I'm glad
true.
now people
Yes.
can know what we
Yes.
look like for
I
the
had
future.
a similar reckoning with Adventures in Odyssey.
Yeah. Oh, don't even go there.
You've told
I
me about
watched
that.
One episode of a TV show that was The Adventures in Odyssey, and it ruined my whole childhood. That is not what Eugene looks like.
So funny.
Oh, my word. Yeah.
Okay. You want to take a lead?
What do you guys want to talk about?
Yeah. You guys didn't know that you're running this interview? You weren't told?
Ooh, that would be a good idea. We should have like wives host in the interview episode or something like that.
We could do
All right, repeat guests. We have
Yeah.
these ideas all the time.
Sweet.
So
I love
like,
it.
You're in trouble.
that. So you're a repeat forever.
This episode is just us remembering
Hosting.
what not to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're as excited as
There's
you are
nothing you
both
can't
nervous.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yeah.
I feel like it's getting a little less nerve-wracking. It's interesting that I live here, and now sitting here has been,
Uncomfortable in your own home.
yes, like I didn't know that it was really set up like this because Brock just comes down and does his own thing, and I'm upstairs usually.
This
so
is the man cave.
it
Why
really
would you,
is.
Why would you spend any time down here?
It's a
I
gym
know.
and a podcast.
There's nothing
studio.
for you down
Hey,
here.
she
Literally-
works out.
Gym,
Drums.
darkness, drums.
Doesn't this scream femininity to you?
I did.
No?
The American flag.
Yeah.
Thin blue line
police-
flag.
the
You
police
can't
flag.
say that. Can't say,
Take that out.
can't say thin blue line or American flag anymore.
Yeah,
Cancel us if you want.
I was telling Brock, like, what room is designated for me? Because the girls have their playroom.
Don't you dare say the
Brock
nursery.
has
Don't
the
you?
man cave.
Biting
What?
my tongue.
Brock's going to say the kitchen.
Good one, Stephanie. All right, and we're back. That was
Oh, we gotta
hilarious.
edit this out already. Awesome.
Brock's gonna say the kitchen. No, he wasn't. He was gonna
I
say.
am not misogynistic.
He was not gonna say the kitchen. He was not gonna say. He was gonna say kitchen and laundry room.
I promise.
Nice.
Anyway.
I feel like at our house it's the opposite. I'm the one losing rooms. I had an office and now it's a baby's room.
Well, that's kind of your fault.
It's my fault.
Yeah, you bear some responsibility there.
Yes.
Yeah,
We love
I've
you,
lost.
maybe.
I've had to like move my hobbies to the outdoors because that's all the space I have left at my house.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes sometimes. I do plenty for you.
You do a lot.
Okay, let's talk. Let's just like move into marriage. Kind of figure out if we have any answers or if we're still figuring it out, which I think we are. Why don't you guys just go ahead and talk a little bit about when you were married, how long you've been married? They got some of that with Nick's, but I'd like to hear your side of the story.
We have been married for 8.5 years. We were 2 years before that together, dating and engaged.
So a decade.
And yep.
Holy.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then even a year before that is when we met.
I have no idea.
Right, honey? Mm-hmm. Yep, sounds good.
Whatever you just said is correct. I agree.
A year before that, we met, more or less. So, yeah, over a decade.
Years.
Yeah, it's been, sometimes it feels like it's been that long, and sometimes it does not. It's crazy. We have 4 children, which I know he's said before. So that's been the last 7 years.
Most of the 10.
Yes. Yeah. It's good. Like, marriage is great and challenging and fun, and then not fun sometimes, and then good again. I feel like sometimes you think, okay, eventually it will be smooth sailing. And I don't know if that's actually true. I think it is just that's a lot of years until you're, old and wrinkly, of just ups and downs, and just keep going.
Yeah, I feel like it was easier at the beginning, if anything. I feel like I was better at marriage at the beginning, and it has only gotten more challenging. I don't know why, but yeah, it doesn't get easier. I think the stereotype is that it gets easier for most things. But I think with marriage, the older you get, the wiser you get. And so therefore things get harder because you start to realize your shortcomings. And whereas like if you're ignorant, you're young and ignorant at the beginning of your marriage, it's easy for your marriage to seem easy because you're just not as like self-aware about how your marriage should be and your shortcomings in different areas. But the older you get, you just become more aware. And that makes your marriage, that sheds a light on areas of your marriage that aren't maybe doing as good as they could be. And so that's why marriage gets harder, in my opinion, as it goes on.
And also you can add in different challenges that weren't there when you first got married, like children or new jobs and that sort of thing. You start going through stuff together, so.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, but we've both grown a lot in our own different areas and relating to each other, and things that were hard at the beginning on your end, you've come a long way. Things that were hard for me, I've come a long way. So it's like more difficult, but yet we're both like better. Mm-hmm. Kind of. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a tough question to answer right now, because right now is probably the most challenging our marriage has ever been, with how many children we have, how many
jobs
how many things we have going on, like career wise. Yeah. So right now I would say we're kind of in the thick of handling those things together. And so probably right now I'd say we're in our most challenging phase of our last 8 years yet. Like building a house wasn't this hard. Having our children wasn't this hard. All the hard things we've done before, like big things that seem big for a marriage, like building a house is like a big deal. Mm-hmm. Having kids is a big deal. Jumping from job to job is a big deal. Like all the hard things we've had to do, like right now feels like we're in the hardest thing we've ever had to do, with so many things going on between 2 businesses and 4 kids. Yeah, feels like we're in our most challenging spot to me. Do you agree?
This is definitely the most stressed I've ever been. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Well, you do have 2 companies and a podcast. You forgot to say the podcast. 4 kids, a home. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. And a dog.
Mom's
and
club.
puppies.
Yeah, and you're doing a lot too.
And you're doing stuff with the moms group. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot. So when can you find time for each other?
The car ride over here.
the 7-minute car ride over here.
Which I'm sure was
date.
stressful, trying to get here on time after babysitter shows up and getting the kids,
Yeah, we like
be okay.
on the drive into Lowville, I mentioned like, oh, it's nice to have a little date. It is what it is. 7-minute car ride. It's a 10-minute car ride, but that's 10 minutes of alone time.
Yeah, that's hard to find at your stage. Especially with all that you've got going on.
Yeah, it is. You have to be really intentional. So on top of your game to like make sure things are happening. And if there is a chance to do something, that you go ahead and do it and don't, because it's even that it's like so important. And yet it almost feels easy to put off because like we're together all the time, as well as like not seeing each other all the time. It's such a weird combination being married. Because like, yes, we are home together a lot, but it's just like a tornado of things happening, it feels like. Yeah. So yeah, you have to be intentional about setting aside time and doing that, which we're figuring out. I think I've realized like, oh, we need to do something a little different because I feel like I'm lacking some quality time.
Mm-hmm. The marriage is, it's easy for your marriage to become the default thing that you don't have to take care of because it's like the only thing in your life that's not going anywhere. But that's not even true because like your kids aren't going anywhere, but like you have to feed them and take care of them because they can pretty easily make your life hard. Like children that aren't well taken care of, you feel like, life can get hard if you're not taking care of your children. They will show you, and it can be pretty miserable. Like,
right. Well, their demands are just so obvious.
Right. Their demands are obvious. Like your job, you won't make any money if you're not trying at your job. Like things have a tangible consequence when you neglect them. And often I feel like your marriage doesn't seem to have a tangible consequence, and that it actually does. Like if you neglect your marriage for too long, I think most people that have done that will say that eventually the consequence does show itself. You'll see the consequence. You'll notice your wife is a little more, they're unhappy. You are unhappy. Like you do start to see the consequences eventually, but for some reason, your marriage seems like the easiest thing to put on the back burner because you feel like, well, that's the one thing that's not going anywhere.
Right, you take it for granted kind of as a
but
safety
net. It will go somewhere. You're wrong, but for some reason it feels like that. It feels like it's not going anywhere. So I can like curb this and focus on this stuff. Well, like, a month or 2 or whatever goes by where you've been just like neglecting your marriage and like, then you start to notice those consequences. Like they do eventually show up. Everybody's probably experienced, their wife, wanting, desiring, all of a sudden your wife is asking you for a date or like they're saying to you like, hey, I really need some quality time.
Or they're breaking down in tears.
Yeah.
When you
like,
look at
and I don't know, like what do you, what do I do? Like what's my sign of like, we're not like our marriage is being neglected. Like our marriage is being neglected. Do I show signs of like, okay, now I feel like I'm not happy either. Like, or do I take longer to show signs? I don't know. Like what's my response?
Yeah, I would say you would be much quicker to be irritated and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Snap a little more quickly. Quote unquote.
Yeah. Yeah. Those the symptoms take a little longer to show, but there are consequences to neglecting your marriage.
It's that I get sad. Like I get like weepy and you get angry and upset. So those are like our 2 tells.
When you're not in sync, or when you're too far pulled apart.
Yes.
When we've focused on other things besides our marriage too much. Yeah.
When our love tank is empty.
Right.
I think everybody I think everybody can relate to that a little bit, because when you're working so much and you have different lives and kids are doing activities and whatever else they're doing, it does seem like the back burner becomes your marriage. And then people don't notice it long enough. And if you're not focusing on the consequences, like Nick was saying, then like a year or two into that separation, you feel like you're like growing apart. That's something that couples say all the time. We just grew apart. We just grew apart.
Feel like we don't know each other.
Yeah. It's like, or it's not the person that I fell in love with, or whatever is the buzz term.
Yeah,
But
I have seen that. Oh, ever since I saw that or first heard about that concept of the idea that when your kids grow up and move out, and then like you look at your spouse and you realize, oh, we focused on that for so long, and now you and I now we're like realizing that each other we exist to each other now for the first time in 20 years, but like we didn't take care of our relationship, and now what do we do? Like I heard about that a long time ago, and I think about that a lot, and it's not that it worries me, but it's something that I think about a lot. I want something that's important to me in our marriage is that when our kids are grown and the last one is, out on their own, that you and I don't like turn to each other and be like, huh, there's a person I don't know. And then like that causes people to like get divorced. And a lot of people like never recover from that. They just neglect their marriage and they raise their kids together, and then their marriage resumes after the kids are gone and moved out. And they're like, well, like, I don't know this person. And I haven't loved this person for how many years, really loved them. And yeah, like, I don't want that. I do not want that.
Yeah, really good advice that I was given was the best thing you can do for your children is to show them how much you love your spouse. So I try to remind myself of that too, like because obviously children, and especially young children, are very needy, but Brock reminds me, like, you have to take care of me too. Like,
Does
I
he?
need to,
I guess I do.
I need to come first. And I try to remind myself of that. Like, yes, my kids are everything to me, but I have to put their dad first. And in doing so, I'm loving them.
Mm-hmm. It's like pillars to the family. And if you're eroding one of the two major pillars, the mom and the dad, husband and wife, then everything else seems to kind of correlate to that. So if like the marriage isn't healthy, the way that translates to your kids isn't healthy either. So it's something to think about. But on all of these points, recently I've been hearing influential people on YouTube and in the public space say things like, when I get home from work, the first person I find is my wife, and she gets the first kiss or the first hug. It's like, that's interesting. I got to do better at that, because I do miss my little girls when I'm on business trips and stuff. But it's when they're gone, this is the person that you're going to be with for the rest of your life. Just you and them. So it's something to think about.
Yeah, it was interesting when you came home just a couple days ago from your business trip. He surprised us actually at your house. We were at your house, and I did feel that little like tug, because Sienna was right by the door, and Sienna's our 2-year-old, and Brock opened it and he like just
Stiff-armed her.
No, the opposite. I feel like he just like squeezed her, and she was so excited to see Daddy, which of course makes my heart so full. But I also was like, I'm the wife. Like, I need a hug too.
I'm here too.
And so I think those cute little faces are like, of course, he's so excited to come and be home with them and see them. But yeah, I definitely felt a little like, ooh, okay, I'm number 2 right now. Daddy's girls come first. So yeah. And we actually had a conversation about that later on.
Yeah.
Like the next day we talked
In
about.
my defense, she was right there.
She
I opened up the
she
door.
was.
I opened up the door, not expecting her to be right in front of the door.
She was right in front of the door.
A toy in the front of the entrance.
Mints or whatever she was playing with. Yeah, the toy at the front
Yeah,
door.
whatever you have in your front, she was playing with.
But that's something I think about. It's important. It's important to connect that way. All right, Stephanie, go. Who are you? What are you about?
Yeah, so I feel like we've had a very interesting journey, Brock and I. We met, is it 6 years ago now, or 5?
Yeah.
6?
October 2018.
Yeah. And so I feel like we moved pretty quick. we were just having this conversation last night, actually. But yeah, we met, and I felt like on our first date, we were at a restaurant talking, and Brock was very intentional. He's a very intentional person, and was just telling me, you know, what he wants in life, and was even talking about what he wants in a wife. And I remember just looking at him and thinking, I think I'm going to marry him.
What? On your first date?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't know if Brock felt that way, but I remember thinking, like, the way he was talking, and I was like, this is everything I've been looking for. Like, so fast forward, I opened a business, and Brock and I now run it together, which is very unique and different. I feel like we relate to you guys a lot that way, being partners and spouses, and yeah. It's been a blessing. Brock gets to work from home, and that has definitely been a challenge, I feel like, in the beginning. And now I'm just really, I feel very blessed by it. He gets to be home. He has a home office. But like for lunch, he can come down and be with the girls. And if one of them is having a really hard time, he has a flexible schedule so he can come and help a bit, which I very much value, and I know that that's not very typical in the household. So yeah, I love being a mom. I hope to have more kiddos. I love all things birth and babies, and yeah, I love my little girls. Unlike Nick, I feel like Nick was saying that the beginning of your...
Unlike Nick, I love my kids.
Unlike Nick. That's a great way to start a
Did you
sentence.
say unlike or I'm like?
Unlike. Yeah. I feel like he was saying that the beginning of your marriage was a bit like easier, and it's gotten a little bit harder as you've added children and built a house and all of that. I feel kind of differently. When Brock and I were dating, I feel like our relationship is a lot better now than it was even then. Building a house together was quite stressful. I had moved from Connecticut to New York. That was really hard for me because I had never really lived out of my parents' house before then. And when Brock decided to hop on board with my business and we became partners, that was really hard to figure out, like, okay, what's his role, and how am I going to take a step back from the business, and just working together and also being married was tricky for us. And it took, I would say, about a year to really get into a rhythm. And now I feel like, yeah, it works really well. I love it. And obviously we have struggles every day.
Yeah, it's just like what you're
Yeah.
saying. It's never. It's like, when are we going to figure this out and be happy all the time?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, no, every day there's something. There's a little bit of a struggle every day. But how do you move through that to get to the next day and be better than even the day before? And some days are great. Mm-hmm. Some days not so much. And I think earlier on for us, like, there was a lot of change and a lot of stress. We dated for 6 months, engaged a year, planned like 5 weddings during COVID,
Yes.
and then finally got that taken care of. But it feels more so like now this is home. We're in a groove. We're more established. She's able to take care of the kids. I'm running most of the business. So like, we're kind of finding a groove, which is nice.
Yeah. And we also, I feel like, know each other a lot more and know what works and what doesn't.
What makes each other angry, makes each other annoyed.
Yeah. And just, I feel like both of us are, if we're going to touch upon love languages, quality time is really important to both of us. And so I feel like we're really intentional to make that time. Like, even if it's 10 minutes in the hot tub at night, like when the girls are sleeping.
You knew it was coming.
didn't.
You knew you weren't going to be able to say it,
Have
right?
to go there.
Quality time, Nick.
Or just,
We need a hot tub.
it is very nice. I do recommend it. Or just sitting and watching a show together, like at night. I feel like that's our time to come together.
That's
That's not quality time. Wait a
Interesting.
second.
Oh.
Interesting.
Back up.
I wish my wife thought watching TV was quality
My
time.
word.
For us, it really is. Like we're able to just kind of mindlessly do something together. We don't have to sit and like be staring into each other's eyes.
Yeah,
Oh.
just being the two of us and
Maybe we just don't
together.
understand what quality time is.
Wait. Do either of you have your phone with you and are on your phone when you're watching TV together?
That
Depends.
is something that we struggle with. Is
But there is a point usually where we're like, put them away.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
And
because
then
one
we'll
of
watch
us
The
will end
Office
up
or
getting
something.
one of us will end up getting mad. Like if Brock's on his phone, I'm sitting there like, what are you doing?
Okay,
on
here's
your
what actually
phone?
happens. Here's what actually happens. We've got a minute before we have to reset everything. Here's what actually happens. Stephanie's on her phone for like 10 solid minutes, and I'm sitting there. I pick up my phone for 30 seconds. She gets done with hers. She looks at me like, "Are we gonna have quality time or what?"
That is true.
That is exactly how it works.
admit it.
So humble.
She's like, "Okay, I'm done with this," and then she looks over and she's like, "So when are we gonna spend time together? Never."
You're just gonna be on your phone this whole evening.
This all night. Good. All right. Let me reset those. We'll come back. And you actually touched on love languages a little bit. Quality time is a love language. I would like to hear where you guys are on that spectrum, and we'll go from there.
Sounds
Cool?
good.
All right. Cool. We'll be right back, folks.
And we're back.
We're back. We're talking about triple dent gum. Triple dent gum. And if you have kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Inside out. I have actually referred that to.
Phyllis doesn't play the sad emoji.
Yes, she does.
Yes, she does.
Oh, I thought it was Melissa McCarthy.
No, it's Phyllis.
Okay, it is Phyllis. I was gonna say Phyllis. Yeah, Phyllis's voice reminds me of Inside Out now. Whenever we watch The Office.
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
yes.
Yes.
You can't unhear
I've
it.
actually referred that to
It
multiple
sounds a lot like
people.
Melissa McCarthy.
Mom and Dad. We watched it with Mom and Dad. No, we referred it to them. They watched it, but we watched it with her parents, and they
It
loved
was
it.
the best.
It's like a kids movie that adults understand
Yeah.
because they understand the emotions better than
Yeah,
anybody
that
else.
one was
Yes.
written for adults watching it along with their kids. It seems.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
no
movies
doubt.
like that.
No doubt.
I love
and
it.
TV shows.
Yep.
Shout out Octonauts
Octonauts
and
Octonauts
Dino
the
Trucks.
best.
and Curious George.
Curious George.
That's really not what you're talking about at all. that's just spoiled.
yeah,
We watch a lot of Curious George around here.
Tell me what is geared toward the parents in Curious
Yeah, I was
George.
gonna say,
Yeah, I
wait,
know.
that's
Because
not
5
right.
minutes in, I'm
I
like,
want to
all
strangle
right.
that monkey.
We don't harm animals, Nick.
That's just what Sienna watches. Curious George, basically.
She goes, "Ooh, ooh,
Ooh, ooh, ah, yes, which is also from Inside Out.
Goofball
Yes,
Island.
we got that.
I know
from,
way too much about that movie.
Ball Island.
Oh gosh. Thankfully, she doesn't know how to sing all the words yet. She probably memorized the whole movie.
She knows Let It Go.
Yeah, she's good at that one.
She's good at that one.
All right.
Frozen.
Frozen. Yeah.
Yep.
She's like, anymore.
Where were you when you first watched Frozen?
Did you watch it in theaters with your buddies? Nope. Yeah, right. When we left, we talked about
We'll have to talk about that one.
going into love languages. So take us away.
Got a little battery there.
It should be okay for now. Just send it.
Love languages. This is not my lead. Somebody else, Brielle. Somebody else. Why am I leading love languages?
Well,
Sure, co-host here.
who knows what all 5 of them are?
Audience?
Without looking at the list I just wrote down.
Audience, it's
Do you
not
know?
live, so it's going to be awkward.
Do you
Just sit
know
here.
the 5 love languages?
Good.
That's right. This is Dora the
Okay,
Explorer.
let's see if we
Tell
can
us
write
the
'em
5
down.
love languages.
All right, we're going to write them down. Everybody grab a pen.
Dora the
I already
Explorer?
did.
Dora the Explorer.
Well, I actually wrote them down so that we wouldn't have to sit here being like, oh, what is the 5th one? What is the 5th one? So,
Oh, we're supposed to guess them?
No, we're just going through what they are first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's just.
Okay,
yeah.
so why don't you just tell us what they are, and then we'll all guess for our spouse what they are in order. That
Okay.
might be fun.
okay, yep.
Because what people don't understand
I'm so
about marriage,
confused. Go ahead. Talk
what people don't understand about marriage is that it's not about your love language that your spouse, like you should know your spouses and prioritize their love language over yours.
Say that one more time for me.
The only thing about the only thing.
So, memorize your spouse's love language. It doesn't matter your own love language for your spouse's love language. For your love language and their love language is what matters.
I feel like you
That's
should.
what I said.
Wow, this is rough.
All
I
right.
feel like you should know your love language, but also know your spouse's love language. That way, you can serve your spouse in the way.
Right. Yeah. No, actually,
That's what I said.
actually,
harder
let me paraphrase.
I told you it's harder.
My turn to paraphrase.
Okay, next turn.
No, yeah, actually makes sense. It's love language. Like you're speaking somebody else's language. You're supposed to speak their language, not your own. I literally paraphrased. I was joking, and then I went into it. Brielle, would you like to paraphrase?
I would say it's important to know your own so that you can communicate that to your spouse, and then also know theirs so that you can, yes, bless them.
Which is more important? In
Knowing your
opinion?
spouses.
Knowing your spouses so that you can carry it out for them.
Yes, but each of them knowing each other's.
Yes.
How many love
It's a
languages?
trick.
How
It's
many love
equally as
languages do you
important.
get? Are you allowed? How many love languages are you allowed?
I've heard that you have 2 top love languages and the rest are just like quite a ways under those 2. But you
Interesting.
could just do them like 1 to 5. I don't know.
Mm.
But I've heard that usually like if you were to take a test or something like that, you have 2 dominant ones.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Okay, what are they?
They are quality time, physical touch, acts of service, gifts, and words of affirmation.
Okay, can you do that
Okay, I
again?
said
Quality
quality
time. That's where I'm at.
Brought got 2 letters
QUALITY.
into quality time.
QUA.
Quality, sorry.
Quality time 1.
We're all right.
Quality time,
Yep.
physical touch,
Okay. Touch.
acts of service.
Okay.
Nick is short-handing.
I'm trying to keep
So
up.
am I. Right now mine says quality,
You're going very
touch,
slow.
and
He's
acts.
still short.
Look.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, good.
Thank
Good
you.
job, everybody.
Okay,
well done.
next.
Gifts, and the last one is words of affirmation.
Ooh.
Do you each have 5?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2.
How do I have 7?
Okay. So, I thought it would be fun to write down your own. I want to do this as concise as possible because my last summary went berserk. Made everybody confused. Write down your
got you.
own in order of importance
Okay.
to you that you think your love language is.
How we receive love.
Correct.
There's a little discrepancy here because sometimes it is a little bit different from your spouse versus like friends or other like family
Just
members.
spouse.
So just
Okay, we're
spouse.
talking.
Yeah, I'm not physical touch with anybody but you.
You're
would-
talking to her, right? You're
I
not
would-
talking to him.
I would
Like,
hope.
don't touch me
I would.
if you're not my wife.
I would hope so.
It's true.
No, like platonically, like people are hugging people or whatever. Like,
Oh, I see.
Don't pat him on the back.
yeah, like don't go in for a hug if we're not like that. I don't know. Who would be physical touch beside? Are these love languages supposed to be for a specific between in marriages, or are they like?
Correct. Yes. That's all we're doing right now.
That's what we're doing, but you can also do it for other relationships.
Didn't you get that by my clear and concise intro?
I was curious. I'm wondering who's physical touch outside.
That reminded me one time,
They're out
Nick,
there.
you came
You'll
up.
know them when you see them.
They walk among us.
That was one time I was sitting and Nick came behind me and thought I was Brielle and put his arm on me. It was
Hey.
very uncomfortable.
I didn't like.
Which
They
one
look
of you
alike,
was
right?
more uncomfortable,
Do you
though,
remember-
you or Nick?
It was like a ooh, like very quick. Do you remember that, Nick, or is it just me?
All right, we are wildly off.
Sounds like you're making the story up.
Yeah, okay.
He's denying the whole thing.
All right, so we're rating just us first.
Yes, what you think
Ooh,
your
I feel like
highest level to lowest level love languages to be received from your partner.
I feel like I have
What
3
matters the
that are
most?
pretty high up there.
I feel like mine have changed, and that might be usual as you go through different seasons of
Yeah.
life.
This is going to be really hard.
Also, it's not that you don't, well, physical touch might be a little bit different. Because it's not like you don't, like you strongly dislike any of them. Like the way I've heard it is like all of these things are wonderful and you're sort of supposed to incorporate all of them. It's just there are certain
That was a sneeze.
Did you just fake sneeze off camera?
She goes,
I do have a very small.
It's like a church mouse. Okay, so everybody has these, but at different degrees. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes. Like for somebody who's, maybe I'm wrong actually, now that I'm like thinking about different people I've talked to, but if words of affirmation is low on the list, it's not like
You don't appreciate it.
right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's how I think of it. I'm no expert.
Yeah, I don't feel like any of these are harmful, obviously, to be.
But
Doing
maybe
with
there
your
are some
spouse
people
or-
that are like, that literally does nothing for me. Because
Yeah, it's like
For
if
sure.
you're
Right.
constantly getting your wife flowers. And
Right.
she's like, I would rather you help me with the dishes. Like that would be way more helpful than bringing home flowers type thing.
are we keeping them secret from our
I feel like that's
spouse?
situational. Like, yeah, like who wouldn't like a gift? It's when you give the gift that matters.
It's also though,
Like, don't bring the gift home when your wife's been home all day and the house is a tornado and the kids are naked running
It's
around.
never a
And
tornado.
you're like, here's the gift. Like, bring the gift home, assess the situation, maybe like put the gift away for another time and get into acts of service mode.
Holster that batch of flowers.
I don't know. These don't make sense to me.
Okay,
Let's move on.
No, but what I'm saying is that flowers are okay. Let's say gifts is not my top one. Flowers are wonderful when I'm feeling filled up in the other areas that are more important to me. Flowers are like the cherry on top. But if he's bringing home flowers and I'm feeling super depleted and like I want your help, flowers are not helpful.
Yeah, like that might,
that make
And
sense?
then-
But
might
if-
confuse
I'm the
your
bad
spouse
guy.
because your spouse is like, but I brought her flowers.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I
why
did
is
this
she
nice
still
thing.
losing it?
Why is she not responding to
Right.
this nice
So
thing
that's
I
when
did?
it's important to
Why
know.
did she light the flowers on fire and throw them out the window?
I thought you were going to say, why did she like the flowers last Friday?
Trying to do a
Not
nice
this
thing.
Friday.
All right, everybody ready?
Okay.
Okay, so
Yep.
let's have you guys start first. So, Nick, you're going to guess Brielle's
Is that what I was supposed to be doing this whole time?
in
No, you were
order.
ranking-
you just
No,
rate
you're ranking
yourself.
Oh.
yours.
Gotcha.
But
What
now,
is her number one?
Quality time.
Is that yes or no?
yes,
Yes.
hands
Ding,
down.
ding, ding.
Answer's yes. I know that one. I don't know that I could get the rest in order. Maybe. I don't know. This is hard because we haven't talked about this in a long time. But I wonder if
It
yours have
shows.
changed.
It's amazing you didn't know that this was a marriage
Told
counseling
you not
session,
to
did you?
throw me under the bus on the podcast. I feel like lately, like I feel like in the
kidding.
last 6 months, maybe they, like where we're at. I don't know if they would have. Are you making this
scrambled?
list? Has your list remained traditional? Like,
No, I think it switched up a little bit.
dang it, I'm not going to get them.
Yeah.
All right, so words is still, or no, sorry, quality time is still first.
Sorry.
I would say I'm gonna go out on a limb here because this is a
pressure.
huge leap because this is not how it would have been. Acts of service number 2.
Wow, that's a confident,
really-
look right there.
Is that number 2?
No.
Okay, I'm not surprised. All
Right.
right, so then that's going to be physical touch. Oh, words of affirmation. Gifts. Dude, you've
Yeah.
changed, man.
I know. Right
You've
now.
changed, man.
I know. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Gifts
so
used to be like number 4. and
So
it's-
okay, quality time and gifts. I would have never thought that. Okay, I mean, yeah, I knew that totally.
okay, can you think about how you respond when you bring me home, like an
Yeah.
iced latte from the cafe,
Yeah,
and I'm like, "You brought me."
yeah,
Oh, I love
So
that.
happy.
yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so
Okay. Keep
quality
going.
time and gifts.
Mm-hmm.
See, now I'm back in the same predicament. Is it acts of service or is it physical touch, or words? I'm gonna go traditional here. Physical touch.
No, that's not what I wrote.
Okay, acts of service.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Number 3.
Yep. We have 4 kids, so it's definitely acts of service next. Okay, so
yeah, that makes sense that it would change as your life changes.
Mhm.
Things change.
Yep.
just do the dishes for me. Okay.
You do
Make
the
dinner.
dishes.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like when I make
Yeah.
dinner, you love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Quality time, gifts, acts of service. Then it's physical touch.
Mm-hmm.
And then words of affirmation. Okay. Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
interesting.
Yep.
So words of affirmation just don't really do it for you.
Our marriage is thriving.
We're good.
Like our list might be like completely inverted. So that means we're not thinking of each other. Like, it's going to be, we're max hard difficulty level of like thinking about the other if your list is completely inverted from your spouse's. In theory, right?
Yeah, okay, I
like,
see what you mean. Yeah.
If my 1 through 5 is your 5 through 1 and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like,
But isn't that the point? If
struggling.
they're not the same.
No,
And if
right.
you know that
Yeah,
in
it
the other
doesn't mean you're
person,
struggling.
Right.
It's just
you have to think extra hard to not be like,
focus on
she's
you.
going to love what I love. Yeah.
Exactly.
exactly. That's
All right.
the point.
Quality time. Yeah, you've always been a quality time person.
Yeah, it's like
Yep.
way ahead of the rest.
Yeah.
I feel like,
Oh, way ahead.
you know, it's not
Way
like
ahead.
1 and 2 are
Yeah.
close. It's like quality time, and if that's
Okay, guess for Nick.
okay. Do you think yours has also changed through the years?
I don't think so, but mine is marriage exclusive. I think I have the one thing that remains consistent for me is that I think that my list is exclusive. Like my other people list is exclusive from my marriage list. I think that they're just so different.
Okay.
So this is my marriage list, and I don't know that it's changed a whole lot.
All right. So then I'm going to say I'm between words of affirmation and physical touch for marriage, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say physical touch, number 1.
No,
Okay.
but I like where you're at. I like
Okay.
where your head is at. I like where you're headed here.
Words of affirmation. Okay. Number 1. Number 2, physical touch.
It's a 3-way tie. I don't know how to
Oh,
order
okay.
them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
The next 3 are, or
Yeah.
Okay,
next
but the
3
first
are.
one is above
First
those
one
3.
is
Okay.
number 1. Yeah. Yep. So
Okay.
yeah, physical touch. Sure.
okay, physical touch,
Yep.
quality time, and
We can order them.
gifts.
No.
No. Okay. Gifts is number 5 for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gifts is a hard number 5. Yep. That
Interesting.
only leaves one more, Brielle.
Oh, sorry. Acts of service.
You got it. Yeah, I
tied.
put accent number 2.
Yep.
We can order
Okay.
them. I put accent number 2.
Okay. So
So words, acts of service,
I like how you're abbreviating them. Acts.
That's how I did it. I have one word for each one.
efficiency.
Acts, physical touch.
Yeah.
Words, time, touch,
Yeah,
acts,
I put quality
gifts.
time number 3, but 3-way tie, so it doesn't
Okay.
matter.
All right. Cool. Cool.
Words, acts, quality time, physical touch, and gifts.
Okay. Very good.
Sorry.
So the importance of this is knowing your spouses also, because yeah, you can know what you like and you can communicate that to your partner. But if your partner doesn't know, then they're going to be trying to show love to you in ways that you're not really interested in.
Or ways that just don't go as far. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like if you really
To
want to
lesser
get the biggest
degrees.
bang for your buck, go for the one that's going to really mean a lot to them and really, speak.
Okay.
All right. You too.
All right. I'll go first for you then. Does that sound good?
Sounds
Don't
good.
show.
Oh,
Don't
yes,
show.
don't look.
Okay. All right. All right. Number 1 for you. I don't think these have changed that much.
I feel like
When did
ours
you do
have
them
not.
last?
Probably in the beginning of
Yeah,
our
long
relationship.
time. Long time ago. But I don't
They're
feel like
pretty-
they've changed.
Okay.
Because I can tell what's received and what's
They're gonna,
not
they're
sometimes.
gonna
Yes.
show us up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let me show you how a real couple does this.
Wow.
Okay. 1, words.
It's key.
That's the big one.
Tell me I'm pretty.
Words of
Pretty.
affirmation are huge for her. Now, between 2 and 3, I think I have them right, but I'm not sure which order. So maybe there's a little bit of a
I know
gap.
it was kind of hard for me to.
Okay, I have quality time next.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, can you see how it's done? Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like 2 and 3. I was kind of like, oh, I don't.
Yep. Touch.
Yeah.
Touch is number 3.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was.
Okay.
I
then
was
the-
debating like quality, or I feel like those are equal to me, like quality and touch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Maybe we don't have enough stress in our life to switch these up. But it is true, though. It is true. Here's the thing.
Maybe.
When life changes happen, these fluctuate some, and you have to be able to communicate that because,
Yes,
right postpartum, maybe acts of service are way higher for her.
see. I feel like it's still not though, because first month
Oh,
of
it's
me
falling apart for you,
having
Brock.
Yeah.
first
You
month
should have just kept going.
And I should have ended on a high note.
month of me postpartum, I'm like a Looney Tune because I feel like all I'm being touched by is the baby, and I'm like, "Where's my husband?" And literally every single time that we have a
right,
baby,
yeah.
which has only been 2 times so far.
Yeah, so disregard everything I said before.
When we edit this, or when it's edited, make sure you have Brock going like this when you said you're a Looney Tune.
Thanks for pointing that out, Nick. Now I
You
can't
said it,
edit
not me.
around this.
But both times so far, like that first month, I'm like, when do we have our bedroom back to ourselves? Like I need like
Yep.
that quality time with
How many
just
months?
just about the first month, I
Yeah.
would say. I just cry like, when can we
lot of
move them
hormones.
into
That's how
their
I feel
own
too.
room?
That's how I feel too. I want my bedroom back.
Yes.
Okay, so I got the first 3-ish. 4 and 5 between acts of service and gifts, I think are kind of close. So I put acts of service. Yes?
You're good.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
then
that's right. And then
gifts
gifts last.
I do love gifts, but it's not something where I'm like sending Brock like, oh, I'd really like you to buy me this, or yeah, I do love when you surprise me with things, but
Yeah, I think for me, the reason that gifts has come higher is because it makes me feel like he was thinking of me when he wasn't with me, and that means a lot because right now I'm just like, and I'm actually not, but I'm just being home a lot and all that stuff. It's kind of like you like see me and you know that I would love this. So anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Thought.
Yeah.
good job, babe. You really know me.
Thank you. Sort of.
Yeah.
Starting to
I love it.
figure it out.
I
Your
feel
turn.
like it's kind of nice for us because we definitely have very similar personalities. So I think our needs are similar.
It would have been interesting to have like a personality, some kind of personality test that we could have had on air. Maybe next time.
Next
We'll
time.
bring that in and we'll see kind of where we're at, because it is funny because everybody's like, oh, opposites attract. There's give and take, and we're similar in some ways,
Yeah, I feel like we're definitely not opposites.
right?
Do you think
Okay.
we're opposites?
Nick's like, sorry to tell you guys, it's just not going to work out.
I don't know.
I can tell you do not want to answer that question.
I mean, different's different. No better or worse. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Are we opposites? No, I don't think it's that black and white.
Yeah.
I think we're similar in some ways, and
Yeah.
just not
we're-
not you guys, like just us. Like we're similar in some ways and different in others. I think we're very similar in some ways. So I wouldn't say we're opposites.
Okay, so for Brock, I want to say quality time is number 1.
Okay.
Is that right?
1 and 2 are tied for me.
Okay, so quality time and physical touch.
Definitely. Except for from Nick. That makes me very comfortable.
I do know when those two are not met, Brock does show signs that his
I get irritable.
needs
love
are
tank is
not
low.
being met, right?
Interesting.
And
I'm
then
happy-go-lucky always. I'm never.
I think gifts are number 3, even though I'm the worst gift giver. Is 3 gifts?
Big gap between 1 and 2 for me. Kind of tied those two, and then the bottom 3 are kind of a wash. But there's a gap, and then
Okay.
like they're still important to me.
Did I get it right or
You
no?
said gifts. I would say no.
No? Okay. Let me try another one. Words of affirmation?
No.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Oh, Mr.
Then-
Confident over here. Hey,
All
watch
right.
it. That's my number
So
one.
is it acts?
Hey, watch it.
Respect me.
Yes.
It's acts of service?
Yep.
Okay. And then gifts and then words?
Yes. And acts of service to me look like even the way you take care of the kids
Oh,
or the
okay.
house.
I wasn't thinking
It's not like
that.
directly acts for me, but kind of. That's a very
Okay.
attractive thing. But it shows love to me. I feel that.
Mm.
Like, oh, I want to keep the house clean and ready and have the kids ready. Stuff like that. Anyways. Yes. Words are probably 5th for me.
That's so
You think?
interesting because I
Maybe
feel like
4th.
words are pretty important to you for me to encourage you and things like that. So that's interesting.
Yep. And then gifts. I like gifts. Like you said though, like these are all
who doesn't?
you like.
Right.
You like all of these things, but
Right.
maybe not to the same degree. So
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just not as obvious, I guess.
Well,
But first 2 on the money.
nice.
Yeah. So the words of affirmation thing is interesting because I think that I've always felt a little funny about being words of affirmation So I'm like not words of affirmation outside of my marriage at all. Like I don't understand. I don't know. I can't figure out why, but I think that for me, words of affirmation is not so much. A big part of words of affirmation to me is not you giving me compliments all the time. Like it's more you giving me the space to talk with you, and like letting me do that is a big thing that makes me feel loved. Like if you ask me how to do something, you giving me the space to like answer your question and not try to conform how I'm like, because I can like go in on things and like give you the whole deal, and that can be just very boring for most people. But like you listen, and when you give me the space to answer your question, and really, because I'm a read the instruction manual kind of person. So like when you ask me a question on how to do something, like I'm going to instruction manual it back to you and not just give you the short answer. And when you give me the space to do that, to me, that like is the same feeling as, to me, that kind of feels like words of affirmation. Like you understand me and you're giving me that space and respect to listen and allow me to do it, to talk to you the way that I talk to you. I don't know. It's like, it's affirming to me. You let me do that. Yeah, giving me the space to have the ideas that I have, and making me feel comfortable thinking the way that I think, affirming me as a person, that like I'm not wrong to feel this way about something, or if we're having a conversation about a hot button topic, or even something in our marriage that we're working through, like when I am given the space to feel free to think about something the way that I think about it and not feel bad for the way that I think about things, and to be honest. When you give me the space to be honest and feel like I'm allowed to be honest about my feelings, that to me is like words of affirmation in like a reverse way. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very affirming to me. It makes me feel very loved. When I'm not given that space, it's really, really hard for me, like very, very difficult for me. Marriage-wise, like things start to break down for me when that need isn't met, when I don't feel free to be honest with my feelings and my thoughts. That's where I think the words of affirmation lies for me. Not so much when you like tell me how good the hamburgers were that I grilled, or how nice, how well. Oh wow, Nick, you really striped that lawn when you mowed it. Like you're really good at mowing the lawn. Like that stuff, like.
Although you like words of appreciation.
Yeah. It's like, oh, wow, thanks. Like, but like, I feel really loved and respected when I feel free and honest with my feelings and my thoughts. That is a big part of it for me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's an interesting spin on words of affirmation. It's cool.
Yeah. But it's a good insight for you too, because now you understand.
Yeah. So can you like start doing that? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So for any young couples, like if we were to talk to any young couples, which in some ways we kind of are still, but that is huge at the very beginning of your relationship, to map out what is meaningful to them and how I show love to them, and how can they reciprocate that from my love language as well. I feel like that goes a long ways, because then you don't have I bought flowers. Why is she not appreciating the flowers?
Right.
I bought this, or I did this, and why is it not
right? Look at everything that I'm doing for him that he's just not even noticing or whatever. And I am giving it so much effort, and he's not doing anything to love me, even though he's doing different things that I'm not able to see as well. Yeah.
So that you can kind of relate to each other, not cause more conflict.
Yeah.
But that was like the whole segment already.
Oh man.
You believe that? We're flying. We can come back. We'll touch on that a little bit again. Maybe the next segment we'll do a little bit on marriage, and then parenting, and then some business talk. Sound good?
Shop talk.
All right, we'll be right back, folks. I know you think that's official, because it is. And we're back. I blew out Nick's eardrums with the clicker. Okay.
All right. So what was your first one, Stephanie?
Yes. No.
Or no?
Yes, it was.
No, words of affirmation.
No, words of affirmation. Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
yes.
okay, so we have the
graphs.
same number one. We have the same number one on the words love languages.
Brock?
Wait a second. You really?
What is
Are you
happening?
guys?
Yes, quality time and touch.
Okay, not gonna lie, I've always thought like we get along so well, the four of us, because I feel like I relate very much to Nick, and Brock and Briele I feel like are very similar.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
We are.
Besties.
What does words of affirmation mean to you?
A little bit different than yours.
Just telling me I'm pretty.
Pretty much. I like, I'm going to be honest. I like your spin on it, but mine is more so like, yeah, what I mean to him, or
how you stripe the lawn.
You're doing a good job.
that I'm doing a good job. Yeah. I feel like it's kind of interesting how ours feed off of each other, because like what Brock said with acts of service, me taking really good care of the girls is important to him, and that means a lot to him when I'm not complaining about it, or when I feel like I'm in a groove and the girls are doing really well. And then I appreciate when he tells me that, like out of nowhere, he's like, wow, you're such a good mom. I'm like, oh,
Nice, dude.
that's amazing. Like,
Thanks.
that just fills me right up. So it's kind of interesting how it feeds off of each other.
Because it's true. Brownie points.
I tell Briele she's a good mom all the time. Does it work? Does it make you feel good?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't say it for your sake. I say it because I'm like blown away. Does that feel good when I tell you you're a good mom?
Double
Yeah.
brownie points.
Can you act like it more? Can you be like, oh my God, can you start crying when I say it? And I need the affirmation.
Don't you know his love languages, Briele?
We could.
Do
I see what you're saying. We could feed off each other here. It could be a very reciprocal relationship.
I think you're just forgetting that I have literally started crying many times recently when you have been affirming. I mean, not that you aren't all the time, but yeah, it's meant a lot recently when I'm just feeling stressed.
Yeah.
Yep.
It fills you up. Like when you're feeling empty, if I'm having a bad day, or if I know she's having a bad day, just some of these like little tools.
Yeah.
Like, just so you know, you're doing a great job. Just so you know, you're beautiful. Just so you know, I saw you do X, Y, and Z, and I appreciate that. Goes a long ways. And like switches the whole culture immediately in most cases. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm not really irritable anymore. That means a lot to me.
Just a hug too, like that tight squeeze can help in the middle of the day when, just feeling stressed, that nice squeeze.
Yeah. I have a question. So having spouses with quality time do you ever feel like quality, like you got
I feel
the
like
short
they're
end of the
starting their
stick
own
on
club.
that one? Like quality time is the hardest one to because I think quality time is the one that requires the most effort. Because like getting a gift is easy. I think giving a word of affirmation is easy. Physical touch is easy, and acts of service is pretty easy. Like it's not hard to do the dishes or whatever. Or, that's a very simple acts of service, less macro. Like being a good mom is a more
Right.
long, like more. You know what I mean? Anyway, so like quality time, it requires like effort to give quality time, and you can't fake that. Like you can't fake giving quality time. You shouldn't fake any of them, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. I feel like as a mom, it's hard, and I'm wondering about your perspective, but like, are you saying, is it hard for me to give Brock quality time?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because if you're trying to be intentional about meeting a love language, you have to stop and give quality time to meet that need.
Right.
If she was acts of service and I saw like that she has a need, and I'm like, her love language is acts of service, or her love language is gifts. Let me bring her a bouquet of flowers, or a candy from the store or something. That's easy to do, and she's like, this is great.
Yeah.
But if her love language is quality time, so when I'm seeing that a need needs to be met, and I want to love her the way that she needs to be loved, quality time I feel like is the one of the five that requires the most effort to make her actually feel that love.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes that can be a little bit hard. The good thing is I value quality time as well, but there are times where, girls are finally asleep and I'm so tired and I just want to lay down, and Brock you're more of I used to be a night owl, but you're more of one now than I am. And so I will just be tired and just want to, like, even last night, Brock was like, come on, let's go in the hot tub. And I was like, can we just stay on the couch? So yeah, it does definitely, like, requires more energy and more effort.
It requires more energy. It's the one that takes the most energy when you have kids and you're tired and you have 4 jobs and this and that. Yeah. Why are you laughing at me? Don't laugh at me.
It's a sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice sometimes.
I'm laughing because I'm wondering if it's less about quality time being the one of the 5 that's the most like consuming. If it's more that that's just not, that's difficult for you because that's not very like supernatural for you. Because for somebody who would be acts of service, which is, it used to be, acts of service used to be before I had kids, like way lower. And that would felt like it required a lot of effort to like get up and actually do something. Like I'm going to wash the dishes for, you know, my mom or whatever. And that felt like a lot of effort. Okay, and it also requires time to do something that would be like cleaning the kitchen or whatever, like vacuuming the floors. That takes a lot of time. So I think that it's just that is not the one that comes as easily for you because it's lower on your list. Yeah. Just like somebody who their love language is not words of affirmation, they don't even like think about giving that. And they have to like make a serious effort to be like, okay, like what can I say to them right now? And it's almost like they have to make themselves do it, which feels like a big effort for them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then it feels disingenuous. Like, oh, I'm really trying to think of the hard.
But not necessarily. Yeah, like if that was hard for you, if that was hard for you, but it's what she loved, it's not even that you don't think that she's beautiful. It's just that you need to like remember to say it out loud when you think it or go out of your way to make it known to her.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not even because I might think something about Nick like, oh wow, like he folded the laundry. That's amazing. But I might not say that out loud to him. And so it's like the extra step of being like, hey, really appreciated that you did that.
And that's why I'm surprised that words of affirmation isn't that important to you because like especially as a mom, I always like use that as my excuse, but I feel like I have mom brain a lot. And so like, I'll very much think something and I don't say it out loud. And then you'll come to me and say like, hey, like, did you appreciate that? Or like even mowing the lawn, like you keep our lawn very nice. And just the outside of the house looks really nice. Or just
you don't have to say
inside.
that. He doesn't care if you tell him. I'm just kidding.
I do care about my lawn.
But like the inside of the house, like you've pretty much done all of the stuff in our house and it is done very well because you're very much a perfectionist. And yeah, I forget to tell you. And then like weeks will go by and then you'll say to me like, did you like that I did that? Or even, you know, putting backsplash in our kitchen. Like it will be weeks later that you're like, do you like it? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it. But I forgot to verbalize that to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Where did I put mine?
Last.
Yeah, it was pretty
fourth.
low.
Yeah, 4th or 5th.
Which I'm surprised about because
I think I meant more like personally I need to be affirmed in who I am, not necessarily what I'm doing. I like to have affirmation for the things I'm doing. Like if I do something really nice for you or for the kids or if I do whatever, it's nice to have that recognition.
Yeah.
Feels loved when you notice those things. And maybe, I don't know. I can't put it above the others. It's not like it doesn't matter to me.
Right.
I just can't put it above. Maybe I could put it above acts of service.
Yeah, I think we all want to know that we're loved and appreciated verbally every once in a while.
Yeah. Especially when you do hard things or difficult things.
From our spouses.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. Like, I don't know, Brielle, if you struggle with that, but like as a mom, I just have so many things going on in my mind that like Brock will cut his hair and we'll come out of the bathroom and I'm like, wow, he looks so handsome.
Back up.
But I forget to tell him.
Yes, I cut my own hair.
That's impressive. Wow. Tried that one time. Did not work so well. Is that why you're wearing a hat? Didn't go so well.
Yeah, I actually accidentally shaved right down the middle. Yeah.
Yep. So you're too busy to give your husband compliments.
Not even so. I just forget. Like I say it in my head and I'm like, wow, he looks really great. Or like he is really big on working out and I physically can see that he looks really good and I just forget to tell him. Mm-hmm. You've made that noise so many times.
Yeah, we gotta have the button.
But yeah, like I'll just forget to verbalize it, and I think that's something I need to work on.
Nice.
Most people, seriously, nobody. I don't think a lot of people have these conversations. Like I think most people who are dating, engaged, married, even for a long time, they don't get it. Like they don't understand this part of it. And then when they're doing the wrong things, it feels isolating to them. I got, I've done all these things. They're not reciprocating to me, or they don't know what I like at all, which builds resentment, so on and so forth, which can tear your marriage apart. So
yeah, being intentional is super important.
But learn how to be good at marriage. Like, I think that's something you can do.
Oh, yeah. You can practice.
Practice.
You can practice.
Learn.
Yeah, you can.
Figure it out.
Why did Nick just say that?
You can practice.
Why is everything sexual?
Not like that, Nick. Oh, my gosh.
I didn't relate to any of these, honestly, until I thought about words of affirmation differently. Like, when do I feel... I felt like I never really felt... The love languages is like, how do you feel loved? I don't know that I ever really felt loved by my spouse by any of these 5. I felt like maybe the list could be longer or something until I kind of reframed the words of affirmation. I know how I feel loved. I feel loved and respected when I'm given space to be myself. And I kind of, if I had to pick one to fit that into, it would be words of affirmation. I don't know. But until recently, I don't know that I would have given much credence to this list for myself. But I think, which I felt kind of weird about that, because I think most people can identify one of these as like, oh yeah, that one above the other 4. But I never really could until I thought about that one a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I also just clarify that quality time to me doesn't mean just sitting and looking in each other's eyes.
Right.
Just
right.
wanted to clear that up.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, how
you
can
want
it
to
be
expound?
anything else?
You want to expound? What does it mean to you?
Nick's
Nick's
his
getting his
notepad
pen
out. Exactly what would that look like?
Describe
Yeah.
exactly what you're looking for.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, it's talking and it's being together. The funny joke is that many years ago in our marriage, wow, we can say that.
Many years. I
Yeah,
don't know
many
about
years
that.
ago.
Quite. Yeah. Many.
More than 5? More than 5 years ago.
Many is more than 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We were watching TV a lot together, before bed. And at one point I was like,
I remember this.
I didn't want to watch TV before bed anymore because it was taking away to me. Like, it was just
right in the middle of Downton Abbey, and it was so good. And I was like, why are you doing this now?
You want me to?
Can we just finish
edit this
Downton
out?
Abbey first?
Did you just say that? Down.
Dude, Downton Abbey is like top 5. Have you
We should
seen
have gotten
it?
into our top 5 shows.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody would care, but we
Oh
would.
man, that would be so
okay.
fun.
Okay.
Downton Abbey
We could have a top
So-
5 segment. Have you seen it?
parts.
Oh no, you didn't like it. Oh, I was gonna say, if you haven't
Well,
seen
actually,
it, don't knock it till you try.
That's fair. People say that about The Office. I can't relate to
Oh
those
my
people.
gosh, I love the
I watched the
Office.
first
Hey, we're
season
not
and I hated it, and I never talked to them again.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so I was feeling like this is all this time. It's like 45 minutes that we could be hanging out and we're just sitting watching this show. And he was like, "We are hanging out." And I was like, "No, this is not hanging out." And he was like, "Okay, what more do you want from me?" And I realized, like, no, I want to. Okay, but other couples have said yes, watching TV, watching shows or movies
Counts.
counts. Yes, but for me, I feel like talking. It comes down to talking a little bit more. Like, yeah. So for me, my definition of quality time, I think, is when we're both talking. And a lot of people, like, if I'm cleaning up my kitchen and I have somebody there with me, they'll be like, "What do you want me to do?" And I'm always like, "Just sit. Like, just sit and talk while I wash the dishes." Yeah,
I noticed that.
That's what I love. And sometimes I'll ask you, like, "Will you just come and sit while will you come and sit while I clean up the kitchen?" Or that's an unintentional throwing him under the bus.
What about like
Ask
playing
if
a
you can
game?
move the kitchen to the living room where I'm sitting on the couch comfortably. Like, no, I don't want to come sit on a bar stool. That's usually my response. I don't know. Can I bring the couch into the kitchen?
I will point out this is usually after he has made dinner. Yeah. So
I don't think you're wrong to feel that way. That true quality time is obviously more than watching a show. Like,
but it can count for some
It
people, and that's
can,
great. Yeah. For me, I think it's an outlet of like,
obvious, yeah.
I also need to be able to talk and express where I'm at and all that sort of thing. So that's why I love, car rides are like
Cheat codes.
Yeah, I love
Wait,
that.
you can't watch a show and drive?
That's,
What were you saying? You were going to say something about playing a game? Or
yeah, I feel like, so Brock and I are a couple that I think we would agree that watching a show is still quality time for us. Mm-hmm. But I have to say there's been only a handful of times, and I think we should get more into it, but like playing a game instead of watching TV before bed, I feel
Does that count,
so...
Does that count for you?
For me, yeah.
Oh, it does?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I was going to say.
yeah.
Because we're interacting.
Yeah, I feel
it's like
yes, I feel so connected to Brock, like when we're playing a game, and it's just like we're laughing about the game. Like it's mindless and meaningless conversation. We're not talking about life or anything like that, but I still feel so connected. Damn, we need to do that more. We haven't played like a card game or a board game in a while. Just the two of us.
Let's do it.
We can make it if we try.
Just like two of them.
I thought that we had a conversation that not even a board game. No, you do. Yeah, like playing games is good.
You have to be careful, though, because people's
Is good.
feelings get hurt if they lose.
That is
all
not
the
true.
time. No, I'm
beat you
kidding.
almost every time, babe.
What?
He was talking about himself.
What? I will go and get the sheet right now.
Yeah. It's not untrue. We got Ticket to Ride, and we played it, and I think I won the first 3 or 4 games, and it quickly got unfun for you.
Yeah, and then she decided to take it out on me every time I play her Ticket to Ride.
No longer was
We need a new
quality
game.
time.
Fun
game.
fact, I hope my dad's not upset by this, but my mom and dad can never play card games together.
Why?
'Cause
Dish.
they did when they were dating, and it didn't turn out well for my dad, and he is not a very good loser. So it's still a rule in the household that mom and dad do not play card games together.
We're working on it.
Smart.
We played some Clue.
Oh, yes.
Played some Clue.
Hey, sometimes you got to cut things out that are points of contention.
Toxic.
Yes.
So hey,
yes.
hey, good for them.
Specifically, yeah, card games with the two of them. My mom is really good at card games.
Oh, really?
She is.
Well, they're over 30 years married now.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
there you go.
They're doing-
What
they're
would
doing something
what would she
right.
play? Like, what's her card game?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, what's the name of it? Card game. Very generic. Everybody knows the game.
Spades,
Hearts?
hearts.
Hearts? I think
Maybe.
it was Hearts.
Hearts is so
Probably.
fun. I love hearts.
Yeah.
90s kids.
Yeah.
We all love hearts.
Yep.
Pre-downloaded on the Microsoft computers.
I think
Hearts and pinball.
I like watching a show together so that we can kind of watch it together and like talk
about it.
stuff like that. That's fun for me instead of just sitting there and just mindlessly watching.
Yeah,
It's fun to watch something that's funny that we can laugh to and kind of
Yeah.
bond that way. But if it was something super dry, then maybe I wouldn't enjoy it as much because I like the dialogue too. We did get yelled at in a movie theater one time for talking.
Really?
One of our first dates.
Told the guy to meet me outside.
Yeah, we
He was
were
very big.
talking like the whole movie, and this couple got they were not an older couple, but maybe in their 40s.
Oh, I hope they listen to this someday.
They got quite angry at us.
No, he got up and came over,
told us to
right
be
in front of us. He's
quiet.
like, "You guys gonna be quiet so we can watch this movie?"
That's hilarious.
The funny thing
Sorry.
about it was we were pretty much the only two
Yeah, there was,
couples
like,
in the whole
yes.
theater.
Yes.
And we're like, maybe they could have gotten up and moved somewhere else, but instead
They're
they
sitting
came.
like right next to us.
And then do you remember
Yes,
her phone
the-
kept going off after that, like dinging. And so we're like,
Instant karma.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, so as soon as he was like, came over and made a big deal about it, he went over and sat 2 seats away from us in an empty theater, and then the entire rest of the movie, her phone was like, bing, 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 bing.
Yes.
It was
You
ringing,
cannot make
and I kept
this
being
up.
like,
yes, and
Unbelievable.
the husband or
He was so
whatever
mad. He was
they were,
like-
boyfriend or whatever. Yeah,
he like wouldn't look at us.
You could tell he was
He's
very
like, I'm not with her.
embarrassed.
Oh, you sent me over to that young couple. I did not want to.
He blamed it
phone
on
is
her. Sabotaged him the whole way.
You cannot make that up. That's unreal.
Okay, let's go into parenting a little bit more now that we are perfect on marriage. We have it all figured out.
Check that box.
What are some of the things that are most meaningful to you for parenting? What's most important? And then we'll segue into what the hardest things are for parenting, but that'll be a secondary thing. So what are the most important things in parenting for you?
Are you talking about like for me personally or for me with my children?
What you want for your children?
Sure. Whatever way you want to take it.
Oh, they're all looking at me
Everybody's staring.
because I
right
talked. I guess it's really important to me that my children know that they are very loved and accepted for who they are.
That's a good answer.
Can confirm. She's not lying.
Ours are a little younger, so it's a little
Yeah,
different
they're-
maybe.
Oh
But
yeah, should
They're
we? I know
little.
you've said it before, but on the podcast, I think. But our oldest is going to be turning 7. We have 2 middle children now. I can't say the oldest, middle, and youngest.
Yeah.
So oldest is almost 7. Then the next one is 4.5. One after that is 2.5, and then our baby is 3 months. So
At the time of this recording.
yes,
I noticed
can
that
say-
before because I said that
Yeah.
with our
with your new baby.
3-month-old at the time we recorded it, but it didn't come out for like a month.
True.
Oh, yes.
Quarter of her life.
So yes, we have a 2-year-old. Her name is Sienna, and she goes by Cece for most people. And then our youngest is 4.5 months, and her name is Giada with a D. I like to say that because people think it's Gianna, and I'm like, it's not Gianna, it's Giada. And she goes by Gigi. I think what's most important to me is, number one, that they feel loved and they know that they're loved. But something that I'm kind of reminding myself and that Brock reminds me of is I'm constantly wanting them to be happy. But I have learned that being happy doesn't necessarily get you anywhere in life. And so I'm trying to remember that it's not all about making them necessarily happy, but knowing that they're competent individuals is really important, and that hard work and yeah, I try to include Sienna in almost everything I do. So whether that's washing dishes or folding laundry, or Brock is the same. If he's outside working, he'll take her. Just because I want her to know purpose, and I feel like value comes with purpose. So not necessarily teaching them how to be happy all the time, but yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because life is difficult enough to be constantly chasing this idea of happiness. And I sometimes think that that's a byproduct of purpose and meaning. And if you can become a competent human being who is able to seek those things out, then you will understand what joy is, maybe.
Yes.
But it is important to have a cheerful heart and encourage them to combat life's woes with joy if you can. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of what you're getting at.
You guys, is that a common goal?
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah, Brock has to very much remind me of that, because I find myself, like, let's say Sienna's on the verge of a tantrum, and I'm sure you guys have witnessed this, but I will almost do everything to make her just be happy, because that's so important to me. Since the moment she was born, like when she would cry, I would try to meet her needs right away because I just want her to be happy. But I think that that's a lot of where I've struggled in life, is I'm constantly trying to feel happy. And if I'm not happy for even 5 minutes, I'm like, what can I do to make myself happy right now? And I think that that can be not the best thing. And so Brock reminds me, like, it's not about, if she's going to throw a tantrum, we have to address the tantrum, not necessarily cover it up with trying to make her happy, right? Like, we have to parent her in a way that's different than just giving her what she wants so she can be happy. And I feel like if you are raised to find purpose and meaning in your life, that's when joy comes in, and joy is greater than quote unquote happiness. I might be talking in circles a little
Yeah,
bit.
joyful heart.
No, you good?
When you're in a situation like that, it's the knee-jerk reaction, the easy reaction is to just give your child whatever they want to make them stop.
Right, to
And-
not have to deal with the
Right.
tantrum.
Yeah,
that
because it's
ensues.
annoying.
Right. Well, that is certainly part of it. That is certainly part
It's
of
like
it.
when they cry.
Especially when you're in public.
When they're older, yeah.
When they're in public, it's
a
embarrassing
reflex.
sometimes.
It's an instinct to make it stop.
Yep.
But
And so, like, if you can get to a place where you address the underlying issue in the moment and do it appropriately, then that will have better benefit down the road.
Right.
Instead of just giving what they want right now. You see that a lot. Like, you go to like a restaurant and there's a kid having a tantrum, they just throw a tablet in front of them. Oh, they're quiet now. Well, what does that reinforce in the child?
yeah.
You know?
Throw a fit.
And we've all been there.
Throw a
So
fit, get what you
no
want.
judging if you've had to do that. I've
No,
had
of
to do
course
that many times, but yeah.
So
What's most important to you, Brock?
it's very important to me that my girls, that's what I have right now, maybe we'll have boys someday, that they understand their value and that they're affirmed in their value often, and that they know the love that their mom and I have for them. And then also it's important for me to have them grow to be competent adults. So starting at, an age where they can understand how to properly respond to things and how to address life. Life's tough. Life is tough. You need to be strong. Mm-hmm. That's something I don't think is taught enough. But I really just want them to see God through us. I want them to know God through us. And then I really am passionate about just letting them know that Daddy's here for them, no matter what.
You're such a good
it's
girl
encouraging.
dad.
Girl dad. Forever.
I feel like something that's not valued in today's age, especially obviously you guys have both girls and boys, but for us right now, we have girls. And I feel like a lot of today's age is there's such a huge importance on going to college and getting a job and working full time. And I feel like there's almost like a like negative light if you're a stay-at-home mom. And so that's something that I want to encourage my daughters with, that they can do anything in life and they can be business owners and do literally whatever they want. But I try to include them in what I'm doing because I think there is a huge value to being a homemaker, to being a stay-at-home mom, and that if that's what they want to do in life, that's extremely important and good.
Yeah. We're going to lose feed in a sec, but I want to keep on this because I want to get Nick's perspective on it. And then we'll keep going because I have a little bit more to add to it. I'm sure you guys do. Okay?
Sounds good.
And we're back. We made it back. Another break. The dog had to be let out. All right. Where do we go from here? I would like to get a little bit more background on who you guys are.
Oh.
Okay? So we talked about parenting, love languages, marriage a little bit. I'd like to know your background a little bit, Briele, to start, and then we'll go to Stephanie after that. Cool?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. I grew up right in Lewis County. Very same upbringing as Brock.
Yep.
Was raised in a Christian home. Gave my heart to God when I was very young. I think around 4 years old, and was very serious about it, very genuine, even though I was young. So I've been serving him and growing, and had a lot of fun in my teenage years with a great group of Christian friends that I spent most of my time with that were good influence on me, and I didn't really get into any trouble. I also never got disciplined when I was little because I was very, I wanted to do the right thing and make sure I didn't get in trouble.
And you were the baby.
And I was the baby.
Honest.
Okay.
And the first girl.
That has nothing to do with it. The first girl. I was the baby for, a few years actually, but not always, because I got some sisters then once I was 7 and 8, got 2 younger sisters in the family. So that was fun. I still feel like the baby, but I'm also the oldest of the girls. So it's kind of interesting. But I'm a rule follower by nature, and met Nick when I was 17, and I liked him right away. I thought he was so handsome.
Oh, brother.
So then we were friends for about a year before we started dating, and we started dating with the intention of marriage. Like we were pretty serious about getting married right away. And then
Getting married right away or getting married right away? Getting married not right away, literally, but like, you mean, we were serious about getting married before.
We met and then we got married.
Right away.
90-day fiance.
We know people like that.
Not that fast.
Right away.
But not far.
As soon as we started dating, we knew we would like to get married. That was kind of the intention behind why we were dating, and was to see, will this work? Can we move forward and hopefully get married? And it was great. I think that we had a lot of fun when we were dating, and we got along really well. And it was kind of the honeymoon phase without any of the honeymoon happening. So then we were dating for 1.5 years, got engaged for 6 months, and got married. So then we had a baby a little sooner than we were expecting to. I say we with like air quotes because, you know, God's timing is different than what we were thinking our plan was. So that wasn't too upsetting because we knew we wanted to have children eventually, but it kind of was faster than we were thinking.
8 months, 8 months in, we were pregnant.
Mm-hmm. So that started that, and parenting is life-changing and crazy. So we had Levi. That was great. We lived in a trailer at the time, which was wonderful. We loved our little trailer. And then we had Rocky, and still lived in the trailer. and then
that is so wild.
And then came Isla, and we were still in the trailer. And we were like, holy cow.
Yeah, you guys are
sleeping in the hallway.
amazing.
Yeah. Isla was in a bassinet in the living room for like 8 months
And
while
your
we were building our
trailer was
home.
very, very cozy and very
It was
nice.
nice and
Like,
cozy.
It didn't
We were
feel
packed
cluttered.
right in there.
Yeah, it
Very
didn't feel
nice.
cluttered or anything.
Oh, yeah, that's
which
good.
is kind of remarkable.
Yeah.
To have 5 people living in there, especially with the littles.
And you would still host people. Like we'd come over,
felt-
and it was fun.
What was wrong with you
We
guys?
had every space in that trailer efficient sized.
We just
What's the
didn't
word for
own
that?
anything. We just made a point not to own too much.
Okay, but literally the shelves were like stacked, and things were put in the shelves in such a way to like, okay, can I squeeze like
Maximize
one
the
more
space.
book in
we
here?
just chose not to have things that other people had because we didn't have space for it, and it was good for us too. It was good to have that 6 years of just like
Minimalistic.
not worrying about stuff like that and living, modestly and
But we had what we needed,
we
though.
had what we needed. And I
Yeah.
really look back on that time very fondly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Isla came and we moved to our home that we're in now, which, we built, quote unquote, meaning we didn't build it with our own 2 hands. Although Nick did do a lot of the finishing things, which is great. But anyway, we moved there, and I feel like that having 3 kids and then moving to a bigger house is when life started to get like a little crazier. And I started with other women, Lewis County Moms Club. So shout out for that. Because I had it on my heart to invest in moms who needed a support system and other women in their lives. And to get out of the house 2 evenings a month and be able to have childcare and just talk with other moms. So I have been doing that. We're going into our 3rd year. So that's been really fun. My title there would technically be the Moms Club coordinator, but I basically I joke and say that I oversee the people with actual jobs because there's a few of us on the serving team and they're amazing. So I just kind of make sure things are clicking along. And so there's that. And then I'm a stay-at-home mom other than, that's not really outside work. I worked at the PB&J Cafe a bit, and that's gotten less and less with each child. So I'm not there anymore, which is good. So I am a full-time stay-at-home mom.
Now you're the majority owner of that same cafe.
That's
so
right.
it's
That's
not
right.
like you don't have responsibility.
Yeah.
Yep.
Majority owner.
Yeah.
Right.
1%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't come with any responsibility though.
No.
For me really,
Doesn't
except
have
for
to. Yeah.
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 Being your support.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and just got done with year 1 of official homeschooling. That's
awesome.
Yep. So that was great. And fun. I think I'm going to like it. We kind of were able to get into a rhythm, which I felt good about. I wasn't sure if it was just going to be total chaos, but it was pretty good. So that's pretty much me.
Got a lot going on.
Puppies. We have puppies right now. Our dog had puppies.
If anyone wants mini golden doodles, reach out.
They're the best.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. You are very busy. Very busy.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I was telling one of my other mom friends about you, Briele, and I was saying, I know it's not a good trait to be jealous, but I'm a little jealous of Briele. She has 4 kids, and she always seems so put together. So if you're ever feeling like you don't have it together from the outside, it looks like you do.
Oh, great. Good. Thanks, Stephanie.
All right, Stephanie, you're up. Batter up.
So I was not raised around in Lewis County. I'm from Connecticut. I was raised by 2 wonderful people who I feel like are now my best friends. My parents are wonderful. I also have an older sister who I am extremely close to, and a younger brother who I adore. I feel like I had a great upbringing. My family's Catholic, and I feel like they did a great job with introducing me to the Lord. I went to college, and I got my master's in elementary education right after graduating with my bachelor's. And during that time is where I met Brock.
Hang on. Can we just go back? I was just wondering, during your teenage years, would have you called yourself a rule follower?
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So like I said, I have an older sister and a younger brother, and I completely had what's called middle child syndrome. If anyone's familiar with that, maybe Rocky can relate.
Maybe.
Yeah, I struggled with being the second girl and then having, a younger brother. My older sister was very much a rule follower and very talented in many, many ways. And, of course, then I had a younger brother, first boy, and we just always adored him, still do. And so I felt like I was kind of misplaced. So maybe I'll end up really relating to Giada. I feel like I have a very close bond to her because she's the second girl so far. And so, yeah, I was not a rule follower. I gave my parents very hard time for most of my life until I want to say my adult life. I hope that they're proud of how I'm turning out. And I feel that I have a much better relationship with them now because I don't necessarily have that quote unquote middle child syndrome anymore. I've kind of come into my own. But yeah, so I met Brock when I was getting my master's. I did a 10-month accelerated program. During that time, it was before COVID, so there was not many teaching jobs available. I was really struggling to even get an interview. I didn't even get one interview. And so at that time, I was working as a nanny and a swim instructor. I got a job as a swim instructor because I would take the twins that I nannied for to their swim lessons. And the director at that program had asked me, she really liked me. She asked me if I wanted a job working with kids and being in the water. And those 2 things I love. So I felt like it would be a perfect job for me. I started working part-time, really liked it. Few months go by as I'm getting my master's and I'm thinking about that next step in life, what I'm going to do for a career, and I could not land an interview for a teaching job. So I took a leap of faith. I was actually at Brock's parents' house, and I feel like it was really God, and their home is just very spirit filled, I feel like. And I decided to call literally 20 hotels from their guest bedroom and ask if I could open my own swim school and start teaching children out of different hotels. And all of them said no, except for one, which was my dream hotel. They have an outdoor and an indoor pool, and they're located 10 minutes from my parents' house.
Wow. Just one said yes.
Just one. They agreed to meet with me, and I feel like all the doors opened after that. So I opened a swim school. We teach private and semi-private lessons out of a hotel in Connecticut. It started with just me in the water, and now we have six employees. At the time, Brock was a police officer. We eventually made our way up to Lewis County and have kind of, I hopped out of the water, and we both work from home now. Brock decided to stop policing to help me grow my business. That way I could focus more on the home environment and raising our kids. I feel like I'm kind of like you with Mom's Club. I definitely work, but I'm more of an overseer. I help with problems where my assistance is needed versus just having one specific role or working 8 hours a day. I definitely don't work 8 hours a day, which is a blessing. Brock and I got married during COVID, so that was fun because we had to plan many weddings and
cancellations, and then more weddings and more cancellations.
Honeymoons.
Married in a backyard.
Yep, we got married in my sister's backyard.
We were there.
That's right.
We were there. And then we ended up having a really nice wedding at a local vineyard.
We were there for that too.
Wow, you guys are doing great.
But
We came to both your weddings. Wow.
Do you guys feel like you have
don't
two
hear that often.
anniversaries?
I know
Kinda.
that's always a
Do
weird
you?
thing.
Yeah, we use
The May one.
10th
Okay, because
mostly.
that's when you
That's
when you
when
got
we were-
married
Yeah.
officially.
Yeah.
That's the backyard wedding.
That's
Yep.
the backyard wedding. That's the official
That's
date.
the real.
Yeah, that's when I
Okay.
felt like
The
we
next one was
were
the
Yeah.
party.
married.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we have a certificate from
May 10th.
Trumbull, Connecticut.
Right. Yeah, and that's when you started living together.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Right?
got married.
Yeah, you got married and we're living together
We
and
lived
all
there
that, and-
for a year.
It was really important that we didn't live together before we were married. And I really value that. But yeah, our first year of marriage was so much fun. Like, we lived in a really nice apartment complex, and I was hustling with my business and trying to get more clients, and
Brock was catching criminals and laying it down.
yeah, it
Right.
was really fun. Like, it was a good period of our life. And like you guys, I think we expected to just be the two of us for a little bit longer. But
Wait, just to back up, do you remember about the living together thing? Do you remember we were engaged?
I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. And you came to watch one of my City League basketball games down in Connecticut. And you were sitting while I was playing with a woman whose son was also playing on my team, I guess.
Yep.
And she was like, "Oh, you guys are getting married? Like, so you're living together?" And you're like, "No, we're waiting till marriage and this and that." And she goes, "Oh man, like that's not going to work. You have to,
You got to try it out before.
Yeah, you got to try it out before you know for sure, before you do whatever." She was on her like fourth marriage.
Yeah, it turns out she had been married
So-
quite a few times. So we
Thanks for the advice.
we were really laughing because I feel like that happens a lot in life, that people are quick to give advice about things that they obviously don't do that great. I'm hoping the fourth marriage is going really well, but
Yes, hopefully.
I don't think the other ones.
Yes, be careful who you take
did
advice
as
from.
well.
That's just a life lesson, you know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember that pretty clearly. We had our priorities. Pretty much
Also
in line.
bold to offer that kind of advice to a total stranger.
Maybe it was
Pretty
because
much. Maybe she was projecting.
maybe it's because she felt like she needed to be trying it out before she got married again.
Oh,
that's funny.
yeah.
Perhaps.
But
Anyway,
yeah,
funny story. Yeah.
so
hilarious.
that was a really good season of life. Yeah, and then we found out we were pregnant when the same weekend that we were moving to 5 hours away from my family, moving up here, Brock's brother built us a house. And yeah, that was a really hard few months, leaving my family, being newly pregnant, new environment, leaving my business, because I had been at the pool every single day up until that point, and then making that transition with my staff that I wasn't going to be there every day. I was going to be working remotely. So that was a hard season for us. And then I want to say about maybe 6 months of working together, 6 months of living here, things started to get really good. And we had our daughter, and she's just wonderful. And then we had our next daughter, and I never knew I could love as much our next baby as much as our first. And somehow God just lets your heart expand, because those two girls have our whole heart.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
They are pretty special.
Do you ever think about the fact that you're a big Office fan?
The Office?
Right.
Huge.
Yeah, we know that. Now the
Our
audience
listeners
knows
know.
that. So obviously your daughter has the same name as Jim and Pam from The Office.
Yes, but there's
Oh my
Cecilia.
Right, but Cece.
Wait a minute.
Cece.
Nick,
Right, correct.
I've never made this connection.
Dang, well, that answers my question.
Oh, sorry.
What?
My question was, so we're in the same boat. Like, Joel is our middle's name, but we call him Rocky. And I love the Rocky movies. Like, grew up, my dad loves them.
okay,
He passed
okay.
that on to me. We had the
Didn't know
tapes, and I watched them hundreds of times as a kid, probably. And I really liked that when we named Rocky, I wanted his middle name to be Rocky, so we could call him Rocky.
I love that. I didn't
Did you
know
think
that.
about that with Cece? Like,
No.
Oh, like, no, okay.
No.
Whatever.
Both of
Dumb
our
question,
girls'
never
names-
mind.
Forget it.
Forget it.
Yeah, we can't relate to you at all, Nick. No. I like the idea of having a name where we could use a nickname. I have my own nicknames for her anyways, so Smunchy.
Smunchy munch.
We call our
But-
kids Squishy, and Smunchy.
Yours is Squishy?
Our kids are all
Yeah.
squishy.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Stephanie came up with both of those, with both of our daughters' names. Pretty much. They were
Names
kind of,
are an interesting topic we
they're
can
a-
get
they're
to
a
one of these
push.
days.
Very Italian.
Yes.
very Italian, yes.
It's so funny when we didn't find out what we were having with Sienna, and I really loved the name Sienna, and I think I kind of made it up. Like, I've never known anyone with the name Ceanna, but I just loved it. And we didn't find out what we were having, and I really wanted a girl. And yeah, I'll never forget when the doctor put her on my chest and Brock looked down and said, "We have a little girl," and it was just the best moment. And then with our second, we found out that we were having a girl. We decided to find out. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to choose a name that I like as much as my first daughter. And
There's a lot of pressure when you like the name that
Yes.
much.
and she had her cute CC nickname, and I just loved it.
Gigi.
Well, yeah, when I thought of the name Giada, and I actually owe it to my mom, she mentioned it to me. I actually like the name Giada better than Sienna's.
We're on
Which you
air.
cannot-
How dare you?
That's permanent.
Permanent
This is
record.
the internet.
I love
Full
Sienna.
disclosure, I like them both the same.
Yes. No, I love the name
Daddy loves you both.
Equally.
I love the name Sienna, but I feel like if I had to choose a name for myself, I would choose Giada.
Interesting.
Love it.
And I love that. I love that she goes by Gigi.
Yeah.
So it's Cece and Gigi. So if we have a third girl, we're going to have to figure out what kind of nickname.
Oh. Yeah, that's going to be tough. We didn't think that through all the way.
Don't ask us, and don't ask us, because
Let,
we have a couple of days after our
Yeah.
kids are born when we're like, what are we going to name them?
well,
They're
hey, they have
already
to keep
alive
that.
for
Well,
quite
they
a
don't
few
have to.
days.
Oh
But
yeah, yep. We usually spend the hospital days like nailing down their names.
So, what do we want to name our kid? Levi was unnamed for 2 days.
Yeah.
love
Well,
Yep.
yeah.
And Joel, too. And you guys knew he was a boy.
Yep. And Mavie. She was
man.
also unnamed. So
Yeah, we just don't name our kids before they're born. We like to see them.
Yeah.
Personal
I
preference.
would like to name them a little. Well,
We like to see them, I said.
I speak for both of us, even though she doesn't agree.
That's true. I like to have a few ideas to take to the hospital,
Yeah.
which we have not had.
And
a
I'm just
couple
bad
times.
at deciding.
We haven't even-
I'm just bad at deciding.
Let's do
Works out.
the last like 7 minutes or so. Let's go right around the table and just say one thing that you're working on, like in your marriage or just personally, and then another thing that you're encouraged by in your family. We'll start with Nick.
One thing I'm working on in our marriage. Yeah, work-life balance. Just working on work-life balance. Work has taken over. And I've always had I've never struggled with work-life balance. I've always had a very, very easy time prioritizing life. Most decisions I've made in my working years have been easy to just prefer life. I've left jobs for more life. I've
made boundaries.
I've made moves. I've made boundaries. It's very easy. It's been easy for me to prefer home life and make sure that stays top priority. But right now, in the last year, it's become harder because now we're doing things that we're starting businesses and doing things that require more work, and it's made work-life balance a little harder to maintain. I do not think that work matters all that much. I just don't. So now we're deciding to do work that we love. So now work matters a little more, because I think work matters when you love it and you're doing it for the right reason. But I think working to work is like the dumbest thing. The 40-hour work week and spending 8 hours away from your family and 4 hours with them, like barely see your kids for 2 hours a night before they're off to bed, and you're spending all your time away. Like, I've always struggled with that, and I've always found it easy to make decisions to move away from that model. But now we're doing work that we love, and we're doing work that we want to do. And so it's like,
well, and it's startup work.
So now it's like, all right, how do I make sure I don't lose, the home life and, neglect the children and make sure that everything is staying in balance. And that's definitely harder. So I'm learning how to figure out the work-life balance thing right now. I'm learning it in a way that I've never had to before. And what was the second question?
What's encouraging about what's going on in your life right now?
What's encouraging about what's going on is that what we're doing is hopefully, no, I'll go a different direction. My kids are getting older, and I'm starting to see good things in their lives, like fruit in their lives. Like my Levi, our almost 7-year-old, is not just a cookie cutter little kid anymore. He's doing things and acting in ways that he's more of an individual, and I like what I'm seeing. So my biggest goal for my children, what's most important to me, is that they know the Lord and are rewarded eternally. That is the only thing that I care about. And what's encouraging to me is that I see my children going in that direction the older they get, and I sure hope that continues. And it's encouraging to watch my oldest child become, I see my wife in him, so that's encouraging because she's perfect. So moving on.
Wow. How do you follow that up? Go ahead. And then once it runs, I'll just keep it going so we can finish up.
Okay. What am I working on? I think the same. I'm working on communicating with Nick what I need from him in a way that is loving and not waiting too long and then feeling like freaking out. So that's what we've got going on right now, I think. And I think the same. It's always encouraging to see fruit in your children's lives of hard work that you've put in. So we're very intentional about raising them when they're young to hopefully be able to have children that are a blessing. And so Levi came, I was holding the car seat and a couple of bags and a couple of drinks as I was coming out to the vehicle where they were already all in. And a couple of steps out the door, Levi ran over and he said, what can I carry for you, Mom? And I was like, thank you. It was very encouraging that he on his own came to ask how he could bless me. So that was just one small snippet. I feel like sometimes you can just be encouraged, and those small things are like good reminders. Yep.
Tokens in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
All right, hon.
I feel like I'm working on kind of living in a similar way as your mom has mentioned that she's been living her life, Brock's mom. She says instead of focusing on like 1 or 2 vacations a year, to live every day like a vacation. And so that's something that I'm really working on. And And I feel like we kind of have the same life vision as you and Nick, where we're getting away from that 40-hour work week, and we're, again, working from home. So we're surrounded by our children, and we do what we love. We love our business. We love the people that we work with. And so I'm trying to remind myself that every day doesn't have to be a drag until we get to Friday, or, the weekend, that every day I should be living like a vacation and enjoying each moment with my children, because I know that it goes very fast. So that's what I'm trying to work on. And what was the next? The encouraging aspect. I'm just encouraged that I feel like I have the best family in the world. Immediate family as well as extended family. I just love our life right now. I love having babies at home, and I'm encouraged that we'll get to keep watching them grow to be the loving little girls that they are, and to hopefully have more babies with my best friend.
That's good. I appreciate what you said, Nick, about finding ways to not prioritize work necessarily, and if that means sacrifices in other areas of your life, it's worth it. With the business that we have, any business owner will tell you that you don't really have 40-hour work week, because it's usually more. But being home has cut down a lot of that fluff time for me. So it's really nice to be able to be home a lot and still be available. I do travel a fair bit for work. So we're not completely remote. Yep. But I like anything that I do from now on will be how can I work and provide and give that security while also spending maximal time with my kids and at home. So that's interesting. I am working on some humility in my life, and I'm working on studying God's word more. I think when we say things are going well, I think that's a huge part of it, because we've been kind of diving in more intentionally. So I think that that's good for our marriage, for our parenting, for our kids, and for our kids to see that, that we're drawing closer to the Lord. That's huge. Another thing that I'm working on is just being in the moment as much as I can to spend more quality time, especially with the girls and with Stephanie. It's huge, because that's where they can really grow as a unit, and we can be a family together. So I'm working on that. It's not easy. It's very easy to get sidetracked with everything. But yeah, I guess the encouraging part that I would say is that I'm encouraged at the results of that so far. I'm encouraged by my marriage. I'm encouraged by the development in my kids. Briele, like you were saying, we can see the hard work sometimes. Sometimes just with Sienna, just some of the stuff she'll do, it's like we've been working at that, and like that's paying dividends, and that's going to pay her dividends down the road.
Oh yeah.
So I'm really encouraged by that. We're getting close to wrapping this up. Do you have anything more to add, Nick?
Yeah. I just want to say thank you to listeners. Brock and I have both been approached in public about from people who have listened to the podcast and have just mentioned it to us. And it's always surprising to me, because I assume we have 0 listeners. But people that are, acquaintances and friends that come up to us and say, hey, I listened to the first episode. And then they'll say, I listened to the next episode. And that really throws me for a loop. To listen to multiple episodes is like, whoa, you liked it enough to listen again. I just want to say thank you. It's been surprising to hear that from people. And we're very appreciative. I'll speak for Brock. I'm sure I can.
Yeah, especially this early on.
Much.
It's been kind of surprising.
Yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of support. And people want to hear who we have on and whatnot. Speaking of which, we have some lovely guests today, and we'll be doing this again. We had an idea of having them interview us.
Yeah.
That might be a little daunting. But there's so much stuff about personality that I'd like to get into, especially spouse to spouse, because that seems like something that's not talked about a ton. It's very important. But
fun.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
And we'll have it. We'll do it again.
Do it again.
It's fun.
Sound good? All right, folks. Thanks. Tune in next time. We appreciate you tuning in this time. See ya.
Peace.